What's up, y'all? This is the truth between the beef between Game and 50 Cent. Now, the thing is, this beef is masked by a whole different type of animosity. Jimmy was aligned more with Preem and Supreme Team and those dudes. Jimmy, of course, knew the original 50 Cent and all of this, but the rapper 50 Cent and Jimmy Henchman, rather, not Hendrix, Jimmy Henchman, they never saw eye to eye, because of street animosity. So the rise of 50 Cent, the rapper, was just, the way he went up was completely insulting to their brand. Now, Jimmy has a lot of artists he managed with his company, and one of those artists happens to be Game, who he got signed with Dr. Dre and Aftermath. And what Jimmy was doing at that time was helping Dre mostly with security, because Jimmy could do those type of things. And basically, the deal, they couldn't get a project going. They were working on Game's album, but it's just a bunch of raps with nothing to them, and they're running out of directions, and all the energy was on 50 Cent, but Game was already there. With Dr. Dre, Eminem brought 50 Cent into the fold. Neither side saw it as a problem. They came up with an idea that they wanted to move Game into G-Unit. So they said, man, well, we could use 50's fame and see if he can, we can get 50 to take him into G-Unit. Jimmy was opposed to this. Jimmy was like, no. We don't want no affiliation with that brand, with G-Unit. And they told Jimmy, like, look, this is it, or we dropping the kid, because we have nothing to put him out on. So anyway, Game is out doing what he normally does to try to make himself hot or keep himself in the fold. What he decided to do was make himself hot. So while he out there in New York, he doing what Jimmy was telling him to do, get with all these guys like Cameron, Dipset, and all these dudes who Jimmy knew and associated with also. So he started hanging with the Bird Gang and Jimmy and them, and he's doing so. And all of this time, he's on the East Coast. He comes back out to Cali. And Dre wants to have a meeting with him. And they told him, how would he feel about joining 50 Cent and G-Unit? Because 50 said they had met before. He was in the club video and everything. Met D12. L didn't have any opposing to him. He kicked it. He was a real cool dude. Real humble. And he's hungry. He was like, yeah, man, 50 want to work, man. I'll work with anybody, man. I just want to get my music heard, man, and just get out there and do my thing, man, because I know, man, I got tracks, man. You want to work and put something together, we can. So 50 was proposed. They said Game's with it. They talked to Jimmy. Jimmy's with it. It's on you. This is what we propose, the percentage to them as far as like what you would get a piece of from working with Game. He'll be signed under G-Unit. so you'll get a piece of everything Game does for at least for as long as we had the 10-year contract with him for 4 records. So he had a 4-album deal. He actually had more records than that, but he could buy out after 4 albums. So they agreed to the terms. Everything's going, good and everything. 50 was already working on the Massacre, which was called the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That was the name of the album, and it was supposed to come out on Valentine's Day. That's why if anybody got the Massacre album, and the intro don't make sense, and it's like, Happy Valentine's Day. Because it was supposed to come out on Valentine's Day, but it was brutally leaked. So they had to release it early to catch up with all the bootlegs. But it was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And he had all of these songs already pre-recorded, everything. Hate It or Love It, None of the Dogs on Top. All of these songs was on that album. Now 50 at this time, he could only do so much with Game at this time because he was in the middle of filming the movie Get Rich or Die Trying. So he was doing 2 projects at once. So while they going into the movies and going over the script and doing rewrites, they got Game. They trying to figure out what Game's look is gonna be when he comes out. And Jimmy Jones, they got him in the video featuring Game, and they were like, what? And they didn't even know about it. Dre didn't even know that he went and filmed this video with Jim Jones. Not that there was a problem with Jimmy. Jimmy was cool with 50 and nothing like that. It's the fact that they finna do a multi-million-dollar, put money, real money behind Game. And push him out to the public, but y'all already displayed him put him on display like this, and a little cheap video like this. So people are like, oh, we already know who the Game is. We've seen him already. So it's the big unveiling, So they still worked around it because that song really didn't do anything, and hardly anybody really watched it. So this unveiling of Game that they did with the DVDs and this promotion making Game the biggest thing to come out in Compton in a long time. So all of this buzz is growing around the Game's album, and then once his single drops, it was just, This Is How We Do it just killed everything at that time. 2005, that was it. Game became one of the top rappers in the game, 1 album in, 50's on there, on the videos, and he made time for Game. He had Game at his house, working on those songs. 50 muted his vocals on a lot of those. He wrote Church for Thugs. That was all 50 Cent, the hooks. Niggas keep saying they gonna hit me up. Talking that shit about laying me down. When I come through just to see what's up, niggas really don't want no positive power. So 50 wrote all of them songs. And some of them he just did the hooks. So the Game could structure his bars around. And Game can rap, but he has no direction, which means that 50 Cent, this is where his genius is. He can construct the song and tell you what to write around it. Well, once he gives you the layout, you can write around it. And that's how Jay-Z is. If you give Jay-Z a foundation and a hook or where the song is going, he could write around it and then make a hit song. That's how Game operates. He needs someone to help him, like, structure the song so he can go ahead and go, okay, I can write around that, and we good. Now I got the tempo, I got the way it's supposed to go, you know. So, with that said, everything was peaches and cream. And now, since Game is on top, here comes all these problems. You know, before Game had an incident when he beat up one of the DJs in DC. And here it is on the Hate It or Love It remix. Everybody's lyric was basically the same. Game, for some reason, changes his lyrics. And they allowed it. And then he mentioned what he did to DC. To the DJ. Now, why would you do that when they were about to ban his whole album for beating up the DJ in DC? So 50 had to go down there and apologize personally to the radio station, so that they didn't ban him, and they made Game apologize. And then here he is mentioning on the Hate It or Love It remix. So it made him look really ignorant at the fact that he would do such a thing. Then when all of that was said and done, it just even opened up more can of worms, because of the simple fact that you got these guys that's behind you who are pulling strings, but you got baggage. You had this beef with Joe Buttons that just popped up out of nowhere. You had the beef with J.O. Felony. He had beef with other people, and because of that, G-Unit didn't, they didn't really want to have anything to do with the people he was. He had created a lot of beefs with Jay-Z and Memphis Bleak and all of them due to some old stuff. And they have people that they work with coincide, like that they do business with, but now those people don't want to do business with G-Unit because of that situation. So they were losing money and losing avenues to go through because of Game's former feud, but they backed him because he was G-Unit. And one of the incidents, and they was in, I want to say St. Louis, and they had a show. I believe it was in either St. Louis or somewhere near Detroit. And it was some special show. They had Game and they had G-Unit. And 50 only did like one song. They did Hate It or Love It. And I think they was premiering Hate It or Love It. And everybody was G-Unit, G-Unit. And he wouldn't say G-Unit. He said Black Wall Street, but never said G-Unit. So 50 was like, man, what's up with your boy, man? He's not, saying G-Unit today. And he was salty because of the fact that he wanted to be the main guy, the headline. Like, he didn't think 50 should come behind him and close. Game felt like it's game time. Game's supposed to be doing this. Game's supposed to be doing that. And like, Game's supposed to be closing this show out. Like, it's supposed to be the Game thing. I'm hot right now. Me and 50 can close the show out and do our song, but I feel like I'm supposed to be out there closing, not 50 right now. And he didn't like his position in G-Unit. He wanted to be in 50 Cent's position. He felt like 50 need to get behind me and I'll lead G-Unit for right now. That's how Game mentality was. And he was going in another direction. And Game, he was just terrified of Lloyd Banks. Game would not do a rhyme. Every time he did a rhyme and Banks was on the song, that's why Banks ain't on the album. Banks ain't on no song with him or nothing. And he didn't want to mention Lloyd Banks. He created an animosity towards Lloyd Banks because the way Banks ride, and everybody was Banks is ill, and he thought he was better than Lloyd Banks lyrically. Like, he could best Banks. And the song that they was on, that I'm Sorry joint, and then Game was yeah, I'm gonna go last. Y'all place your rhymes, and then I'm gonna go right behind him, and then I'm gonna place my rhyme, cause I want everybody to know right away that I'm gonna come out, since it's my time to shine. I'm gonna come out and do my numbers that I'm supposed to do, so everybody gonna be waiting for Game. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy, because at the time, Game, once he got all that notoriety and selling all them records, it just changed him so much to, he just thought he was bigger than everybody else in the game, and like, I'm the biggest star in G Unit. You know, Lloyd Banks' album ain't sell with mine sold, so I'm really leading the ship. So, I mean, Game just got real ahead of himself. And it did not help causing these kind of waves in a camp in which they're bringing you in to develop you. Even at that point, Jimmy didn't really push for anything to change. Jimmy didn't like the situation from Jump Street, but Jimmy's making a lot of money. So Jimmy's not going to care about, like, maybe this is a good idea, because I went from making nothing off of him to making a fortune off of Game. So the more this beat kicks up, the more records Game gonna sell, the more money I'm gonna get. So nobody's complaining. 50 ain't complaining. Dre ain't complaining. I mean, 50's just like, I'm not gonna rock the boat, because this is business. I got money vested in this. I'm making more money off Game than Game making off his album. So I ain't finna rock the boat, but somebody need to check him. He's getting a little out of control. The fame was getting too much to him. And then he did a show out in like overseas. I want to say Paris, or one of them, London or whatever. And while he's overseas, he's on stage, he's getting all feeling the show. He's dissing Jay-Z. At this time, Jay-Z was basically retired. He's dissing Hove, and I don't care if your name Hove.